welcome to Too Fond of Books. My name is Janelle, and this is part 2 of my Cloak and Dagger Christmas wrap-up. December was fantastic. Such a fantastic month for reading. I had this kind of unofficial challenge that I was going to try and read a book a day in December, and I did. I was so excited. I did. Now, December was really quiet. We didn't go out very much. We didn't have guests. And so I was able to do a lot of reading. And so yeah, to read 31 books in December, that was just such a great way to end the year. And so I also filled my bingo card. I fulfilled all 9 of the prompts, which means that I attained Sherlock Holmes level. So that was really fun. And before I forget, I am going to talk about the Columbo prompt, which is to watch a mystery TV show. And I did, because I did a lot of that during the month too. So first of all, I rewatched some of the Christmas episodes, from some of my favorite shows like Midsummer Murders or the Phryne Fisher mysteries. And I can't think off the top of my head, but a few more like that. I also watched, there's a brand new Agatha Raisin, Kissing Christmas Goodbye. I watched that, which was really fun. I also tried the new Dalgleish show, which is based on the books by P.D. James. And that is a show, they've set it in the 70s, which makes sense because the books were written in the 70s. And so I watched a couple episodes of that, and I did enjoy it. I liked the way it was filmed, the character of Dalgleish. I liked him. So yeah, I would watch more of that one. I also watched a few episodes of the Madame Blanc mysteries, which are set in France and kind of are in the world of antiques, and so that was really fun. I also rewatched some DCI Banks. That's a show. He is a detective chief inspector in Yorkshire, and I do enjoy that show. I love shows set in Yorkshire. I love being able to see a bit of Yorkshire. I think it's just such a beautiful, beautiful place. And then I also watched some classic Poirot. I watched some David Suchet Poirot from the early shows, and I just love Poirot. I also watched the episode Hercule Poirot's Christmas, just because it was Christmas, and so why not, right? So I definitely fulfilled that prompt. Do you enjoy watching Christmas episodes of mystery shows? Let me know some of your favorites in the comment section down below. Okay, so let's dive into the books that I read that I haven't talked about yet. This is The Advent of Murder by Martha Ockley. This is actually the second in this series, but it was the Christmas one, so I decided to start here. This is a Faith Morgan mystery. She used to be a police officer, and she is now the vicar at Little Worthy. And so I found that that is an interesting, a very interesting transition to make in life. And she is heading to the farm of this man called Oliver, because she wants to ask if he will play Joseph in their nativity play. And she arrives to find a bunch of police there, and it turns out that a teenage boy has been found dead on the property. And of course she gets involved in it because her parishioners are involved. Also because she used to be a police officer, she just likes to stick her nose in. She's curious. I ended up liking this one a little more than I thought that I would. It kind of, I mean, look at the cover. How can this not be a cozy? So it's a cozy mystery set in England, and I love that the cover kind of goes front and back, one picture. I ended up liking this a bit more than I thought that I would. I liked the character of Faith. She was good because she was an amateur sleuth, but because she's got that past of being a police officer, she knows more about investigating than other amateur sleuths. And I didn't find her really annoying. which I can sometimes with amateur sleuths. So I actually have got the first from the library just to check it out. So yeah. And then I read The Notting Hill Mystery by Charles Warren Adams. This was for the Inspector Bucket prompt to read a mystery, a Victorian mystery. And so this is part of the British Library Crime Classics series, and this was published in serial form in a magazine between 1862 and 1863. And I really liked this, actually. I liked the writing style. I found that I could read it at a pretty good pace. Sometimes with Victorian books I get really bogged down, but this one I could read through. And I would call this an epistolary novel because it's all told in letters and witness statements, and I found that really fascinating. The main character is an insurance investigator called Ralph Henderson, and he's building a case against someone called Baron R. They don't give you his full last name. And Baron R is suspected of murdering his wife. And it was just really interesting. I really liked the way that it was put together and the way that the author used these witness statements and letters to tell the story and to build the mystery. I actually did really enjoy it. And then I read Anne Perry's A Christmas Beginning. This is from her Christmas, her Christmas Mysteries series. And this one is about Superintendent Runcorn of Scotland Yard. So the character here has a connection to the William Monk series. That's what I love about these Christmas mysteries, is she chooses kind of side characters from her series and writes a story about them. And so this one is about Superintendent Runcorn, and he is in Wales over Christmas, and he comes across the body of a young woman when he's out for a walk one day. And yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoy Anne Perry's mysteries. This is set in kind of the mid-Victorian time period. And then I read, and this was just for fun, this was a non-mystery, this is non-fiction, this is A Tudor Christmas by Alison, Weir, and Siobhan Clarke. And this was just really fun to kind of delve into some of the traditions and rituals around Christmas during the Tudor era, and to see what we still do today, or where kind of like some of the stuff we do today maybe had its beginnings back in those traditions. It was such a fun read, and there was a few things that I highlighted here to read to you. First off, she's talking about ghosts and spirits. Deep within all the festivity, bustle, and good cheer, there lay the quiet heart and purpose of the celebrations. As Christmas Day approached, there was devout expectancy, but also a fearful sense of the supernatural. In Tudor England, spirits were thought to roam free in the darkness during the Christmas season. Already in Elizabethan times, there was an established tradition of telling ghost stories by the fireside at Christmas, particularly on Christmas Eve, a thrilling way to while away the hours on dark winter evenings. For centuries, the belief had lingered that the veil between this world and the next was at its thinnest at the time of the winter solstice, the longest night of the year, and that spirits could walk the earth. I thought that was great, because I thought that belief was Victorian, because when I read that, all I could think of was A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. And so I didn't realize that it was a much earlier belief. It was the custom in Tudor times for the more affluent to distribute gifts or boxes containing money to servants, apprentices, tradesmen, and the needy. These and alms boxes in churches were opened on 26th December, which became known as Boxing Day from the 17th century. I thought that was really cool, because here in Canada we celebrate Boxing Day on December 26th, but I never really knew what that was about, and so that was cool. Okay, and then I read The Humbug Murders by L.J. Oliver. Now, this was a recommendation, and I can't remember who it was from, but thank you for recommending this to me. This is an Ebenezer Scrooge mystery, which which I thought was really fun. And I enjoyed this book, and although it was, I thought it would be a little more lighthearted than it was. I also found it fascinating that it was a young Scrooge. So this is a story of Scrooge before A Christmas Carol, which I thought was also really interesting. So it's set in December, and he is a young moneylender, and he gets a visit from his old mentor, Reginald Fezziwig, but Fezziwig is a ghost. He's been killed, and Fezziwig says, you need to find out who did it because more will die, and then you. And so this was just what was really entertaining with this was you can tell that the authors loved Dickens and loved A Christmas Carol especially, and had a fairly good understanding of Victorian times. What I liked is that this seemed like a fairly more realistic Victorian times than you might sometimes get. It's not the Christmas card, Victorian Christmas. You get a lot of, he goes to areas of the city where the poor live, where there's a lot of criminal activity, and it's not nice, cozy in front of the fire Victorian, that you might kind of have in mind. This felt a little more realistic. Also, it was very entertaining because Charles Dickens was also a character in here, so it really felt like Charles Dickens was meeting these people who then inspired him to write stories. So he meets Ebenezer Scrooge, but you also get Fagin and the Artful Dodger from Oliver Twist, and possibly a few more. I'm not, I haven't read all of Charles Dickens, so I may have missed some, but I thought that was a really fun part of the story too. And then I read Envious Casca by Georgette. I had such fun with Footsteps from in the Dark that I wanted to read another one, and this is one set at Christmas. It's a Christmas country house party mystery. It's also a closed circle mystery. It's also a locked room mystery. So she wanted to do all of it, and I loved it. I thought it was really, really fun. I needed to write down a list of the family that gathers for Christmas because just to keep everybody in track. But it wasn't horrible. And so you have everybody gathering for Christmas, and the host is that grumpy patriarch classic. And he gets killed. And it was really good because I had in mind who it was going to be, and I was wrong. But I liked how the mystery was told. I liked how the clues were laid out, and I just had a lot of fun with this one. And then I read The Seeker by S.G. MacLean. I read this for the Flavia Deluxe prompt of Start a New to You series. And this is the first in a series. This also won the 2015 CWA Endeavour Historical Mystery Award. This is set in London in 1654. And Damien Seeker, is an agent for Cromwell, the Lord Protector, and he is investigating spies and plots and stuff, which is his job. But then in the midst of all of that, a beloved hero of Cromwell's army gets murdered, and Seeker kind of gets involved in that investigation as well. I really, really liked this. I really liked the writing style. Seeker was a fascinating character. I loved the descriptions. You really felt like, I really felt drawn in to the time and place. I thought the author did a really good job of writing the atmosphere and what it was like in, you know, kind of in Cromwellian London. The characters were really interesting, really compelling. And I was a little bit concerned because of the time period that it could be really violent, and also because of his job, you know, being an intelligencer in that time period. The story could have been really violent, and it wasn't. And I really appreciated how the author handled that stuff, because there was some violence and there was some, you know, so people would get arrested, and at the time, and this is what happened, you know, they would be tortured for information. And so I was kind of like expecting that to happen, and it all happened off stage, and there was never any description of it. You kind of knew that it had happened, but it was never addressed. And I liked that. I liked that way of telling the story, so that it was there, it was accurate, but it was not dwelt on, and there wasn't a lot of violence right on the page. And so I really liked that. I am definitely going to read the next one in the series. I did really enjoy it. Okay, I'm going to read to you just a little portion here so that you can get an idea of the writing style. Far away in the heart of the town, in the garret of a house in Dove Court, between Poultry Street and the Old Jewry, the scratch of Elias Ellingworth's pen across paper was never ending, like the rats scrabbling amongst the rafters night after night. Word after word, multiplying, going out into the city, running by its lanes and alleyways, into homes, into mouths, into minds. Not just of the merchants and traders, the hawkers, apprentices, and masters of the city. Not just in the ale houses and taverns and coffee houses and across the exchange floor, but westwards, past St. Paul's, down, swirling in and through the Inns of Court, caught in the mists rising from the river, whispering their way along and through the fine households of the Strand, of Pall Mall, and at last to the great palaces of Whitehall and Westminster. So travelled Elias Ellingworth's words, and there they fell like specks of dust, to be swept aside into unseen corners, or caught up in the providential fury of the Lord Protector's wrath. So that's The Seeker by S.G. MacLean. And then finally, I read The Clock Strikes 12 by Patricia Wentworth. This was my very first Miss Silver mystery, and I loved it. I loved it, loved it, loved it. I am definitely reading more Miss Silver. And I chose this one because this is a book where the murder happens on New Year's Eve, and I read it on New Year's Eve. So that was really fun. This was my last read of 2021, and I read it on December 31st. And I just love this so much. And so we have a family gathering on New Year's Eve, and the patriarch, James Paradine, gets murdered right on the stroke of midnight. And the police, of course, come in to investigate, and some family members ask Miss Silver to come stay at the house and investigate and to help them out. I really liked Miss Silver as a character. I thought she was great. There was, of course, some similarities with Miss Marple because of their age and the fact that she was always knitting. Also, her understanding of human nature, there was similarity there with Miss Marple too. But I just really loved it. I loved how she was described as, like, she has this notebook and she was always writing things down in the notebook. She's very clever. She's very logical and rational, and that takes some people by surprise. Yeah, I loved it. I loved the characters in this book. And kind of some of the side stories. Yeah, the way that she wrote the mystery, the way that she inserted clues and red herrings, I just loved it, and I can't wait to read more Miss Silver. So there you have it. Those are the books that I read in kind of the last week or so of December. Let's chat in the comment section down below. Have you read any of these books? Yeah, let's talk about them, and I will see you for another video soon. Bye.